Welcome to the Collector Chatter podcast. This is episode 21. I am one of your hosts, Miguel, with my co-host here, Charlie. We are here for another great episode. This episode I'm very excited about. We're going to do the second half of the episode around the Funko Sports line, which is pretty massive because there's a lot of different sports, but we'll get super in depth on that. But before we do that, like we always do, we'll start off with some news and some rumors like we usually do. So starting us off with some news, Charlie, is there anything that kind of just jumped out at you as far as something that dropped this week or is said to be dropped?
Yeah, one thing that really caught my eye was a bunch of new sodas. I was really happy in the Fun TV videos this week. They actually did drop new product and Freddy Funko Sodas, which I'm super hyped about. There's a Fun TV one where it's wearing a Fun TV shirt, chased with like another version of it. And then I think the other one's considered a social media Freddy Funko soda. I'm super pumped for those. Like, I really wish I've been wanting them to make more Freddy Funko Sodas. I don't have any. I'm still obviously waiting for the Halloween one, and I'm really hyped for these. And I love that they kind of made Fun TV into what I wanted it to be, to actually show off new product reveals.
Yeah, which we talked about that last week because we were like, this actual Fun TV thing that they did, the original launch, it was kind of just more based on the show and those quirky little games and stuff like that. But if they do that, if they mix that in with this, I'm totally fine with that. But as long as, we get some of these reveals and even something like this where it was kind of a small reveal, like you didn't get what the entire year or quarter is coming out. It was just kind of like, these are some new stuff. And it was pretty cool to see a new Freddy Funko Soda because obviously those are pretty hard to get now. Most of them have been con exclusives, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it is pretty cool to see this one, like you said, the social media one and the Fun TV one. I don't have any Freddy sodas currently, so that would be cool to get as well. And at the same time, they also announced the Yogi Bear with the Flock Chase soda, and then the Gizmo, which is awesome because those two sodas we actually spoke about in rumors in a previous episode. So a lot of these rumors, that when we get into the rumors, like we said, we always say that they're not guaranteed, but they're pretty spot on with these people that have these sources that we just happen to also follow their pages. So when we talk about the rumors, I was really excited because obviously these are two that are pretty cool. The Yogi Bear is awesome. I love Flock sodas. And then obviously Gizmo, that's just right up my alley. So that's going to be one that I'm very excited for as well. So yeah, those are definitely some pretty cool drops that I saw that you were saying. And then also there was interesting. So there's a couple 2-packs that are being announced. And if you saw these are through Amazon.
I did.
I don't know how I feel about them. So what it is DC. So there's a Batman Joker 2-pack, which obviously you would think I would go all over it. I picked up the Batman Joker,
pops, right?
Yeah, the other one. But those versions that are repurposed essentially.
Yep.
But the Two-Face and Riddler one is a glow in the dark.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't notice that.
So that one, it says it was glow. So that one I guess is different, which makes it kind of cool. The Batman and Joker one are essentially this just normal. It's the 1989 Joker with the big like top hat thing. So I don't know. I'm probably not gonna go after those. It was funny because in an unboxing video that I had, I showed off that I got the other Batman Joker one, the one where he's wearing like the black and white. Yep. And in that video, I remember saying like, oh, I don't have too many 2-packs. And then I just recently bought some 2-pack protectors. And you can't tell because I'm behind the mic here, but all along the middle here I have 10 2-packs that I didn't even know I had. And I like them, but I'm like, damn, these take up a lot of space. So I'm very like picky on if I'm going to get any more 2-packs in the future. But I thought that was pretty cool though.
Another thing that they announced, which I think this is awesome. It's one of their causes. Again, it's for Make-A-Wish, and it's basically a Walt Disney Company line. So you're going to get Marvel pops. So there's a Spider-Man and Iron Man. There is Pixar. They had a Sully one. You got Mickey and Minnie. You have Star Wars. There's a Stormtrooper, and I believe there was a BB-8. I just think this is such a great cause, and it's. Who knows if these will be like hard to come by or people are going to want them. I'm pretty sure some are going to be common. Some are going to be store exclusives, but I'm really excited for them. They're all kind of like a bluish, metallic.
It's like a metallic.
And Make-A-Wish's color is blue. And, I just think it goes to a great cause. I'm definitely going to be picking these up. So I'm excited for these.
Yeah. And it was a big drop. And like you said, they kind of spread it across all Disney's umbrella with Marvel and Star Wars and everything, which I thought They look amazing. I love the color, looks sick. I
Yeah,
think
it
it's a
looks
really
cool.
cool blue metallic. I like that the cause of it. I love that they're doing this. It makes total sense. I only have one issue with it,
Okay.
and it's that every single pop is redone. Like it's a repurposed pop.
The same
None of them
molds.
were original. So I get it, but like I feel like if you're gonna do something like this, and because of the cause, and it's such a special thing, like just make a brand new pop and make it like a new mold with that color. That's the only thing that I would say would be like a complaint, but totally would get them just because of the cause and because they do look awesome. I just wish that they didn't, and they do that all the time. Obviously, they'll
You're
make it
right.
pink
Yep.
for Valentine's. They don't really like go too over the top, but I just found that was a little like, at least they could have changed it up. And it's literally like everyone is a mold that has even
Been
the
done.
Spider-Man is the one where it's like the black light version.
Yep.
Basically, they
It's
made it in
exactly
blue.
what it is. Yeah, the Iron
So
Man is
that
just
was
the
the only thing.
basic
But
one.
yeah, but I like the way they look. I definitely like that color. It's a cool, unique. It's not like the other metallics that we've
It
seen or anything
totally is
like
unique
that.
because normally
So
I wouldn't. I want to get these just because of the cause, but normally I'm not a fan of just these like one color, whether it's a
mhm.
metallic or chrome. But yes, this definitely looks like a blue that they've never done before. So
Yeah.
yeah, they look pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what they look like the boxes will look like and stuff. I'm sure those will look pretty cool as
Yeah.
well. So like we're still waiting on that. Obviously, it was just like the original, just the pops that actually came out on the picture. But yeah, that was definitely one that was sick. I don't know if you saw this one. So there's a Diamond Valentine Star Wars 4-pack.
I did see that. Yeah, that
So
I'm
they're
not.
really milking that line now.
Yeah, that bothered me actually because as someone, as you know, if you listen to our previous episodes, I do like this line. My wife has gotten these for me, and Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm hoping she gets me the new ones. But this, yeah, I don't see the point of this. I find it interesting. The only thing that I do enjoy is that they at least made them different. Talking about like it's not the exact same pop in a 4-pack. I mean, all they did was glitterize them, but
Yeah.
at least they took the effort to do that. But I do find it to be very strange. Like I don't understand why they're milking it. Quite frankly, they're making too many, even of the Valentine's Day ones, even though I love them, that they're Star Wars, which is obviously my number one
Yeah.
fandom in line. But there's no need for as many as they're making. There's just
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah. I think based off of what it is, doesn't make sense because like you said, like these are more meant for like a gift or you give it to your significant other, or you something like that, right? Because it's kind of like
Yep.
giving a Valentine's Day card almost, kind of like that. So like more than likely you're gonna take it out, you display it as cute.
The
So like
box even has a name tag on it, which
yeah,
is
exactly. So
yeah.
you're literally giving it like a Valentine. So like at that point, like to me, a 4-pack or a 3-pack, any of those are more like a collector item, right? Because it's like
Yep.
a big box and you're so then, like, is that what those are? You're not supposed to take them out, or is it just that you're getting 4 for the price of what is it, like 2.5 or whatever that they break down the price? So, like, I don't know. I think it looked ridiculous. I just thought you probably thought it would be pretty funny too, because I didn't feel like you would like
No.
that, but
Yeah, no, I find it to be ridiculous. Yeah, it's no point of that.
yeah,
But
not
speaking
at
of
all.
Star Wars, I think they finally, this had been a rumor that we talked about, and I think it leaked on maybe an Amazon Italy, but they're coming out with Star Wars Day of the Dead Funko Pops. And they haven't shown any actual glam shots of them, but they showed them in the computer system. There
Yeah,
seem to really be milking, that as well, which I find interesting because
yeah.
they made them for DC. I'm assuming, we'll get Marvel at one point.
Yeah, it's a little even the DC ones, like I have a couple of them just because I was like, okay, these are kind of cool. It's like a mix. It's kind of like the reason why I got the Marvel Zombies. Like kind
Yep.
of mixed like two genres that I like, and I was like, you know what, I'll do the same thing. But yeah, I don't like that they're just kind of milking them. I feel like maybe we haven't seen them, so I feel like maybe they'll kind of remind you of like the what was it, the Futura? Is that what it was
Yep.
called? The Star Wars
Yeah,
line, which was kind of a cooler like artist line.
it
So like if
was.
it's like that, that might be cool, but the fact that now they're just kind of like throwing out even more, like, I don't know, it's going to be really weird. But it was interesting that you said that Amazon Italy, I believe is what you said, that it was
Yep.
like popping up on. I don't know if you noticed, but like when I was looking through news and rumors, we'll get into more when we talk about rumors, but there's a lot of like sites that are leaking things. Amazon, Target, like there's a lot of things
Yeah.
leaking on there, and it's like leaks basically an employee, I'm assuming, because it's like where you're getting the SKUs and you're getting all these things. So it's like it's interesting that that's happening a lot now, because I don't feel like that was happening all the time. Like once in a while you would get a thing, but now we're getting full lines and it's like
Yeah.
multiple things. So that's going to
And
be
it's funny.
interesting.
One thing Amazon has been doing recently too is, and I don't remember for what line it was, but they like put the Funko Pop on sale in US for like a hot second, and then legitimately it got pulled down. And like some people were able to pre-order them. They've been doing that like a decent amount. I think
Yeah,
one of them they did it was with the Star Wars Valentine's Day pops at one point, and then it like
really.
got pulled immediately. It's
They
weird that that's
they've
happening.
also been doing the whole like throw it up with a silhouette and you don't even know what the pop looks like a lot, like
Exactly.
right away, and then like
Yes.
finally the pop comes out. So yeah,
Walmart does that too. I don't like that. I
yes,
mean,
it's so weird. It's like, it's either out or I don't know. So whatever, everybody has their own like crazy system. But another thing that I was actually very excited for, this kind of shocked me, and when I saw that this was going to drop, I was like, wow, why didn't I think of this as like a pop? Because I thought once I saw it, I was like, totally a cool pop. And it's the Jabberwockies. So you saw that. So there is a
yeah,
Jabberwockies pop and then a chase, I believe, is what the second one is, which is just like a different color outfit. Um, I mean, I was a big fan of them back when they like really started off and they were on a dance show and it was like super cool. And they obviously like blew up. And now they're very well known, of course, with if you don't know who they are, they're obviously a famous dance group and they wear like the white mask, white plain face looking mask. But I thought that was a pretty cool one. I mean, that's something that I probably would maybe pick up if I saw. I don't know if I'm gonna like order it or pre-order it, but like if I saw it
you
in
saw
in
it.
a shelf or something, like I would pick it up, even if it wasn't the chase. Like it's just something that would be kind of cool just to have one. I think it'd be a cool like desk piece. It's a cool looking like
Yeah, I agree.
mold for sure.
It's fun when they do random ones like that. And that was also a fun TV reveal.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
what they
like
dropped.
they reveal more than I guess I'm giving them credit for. But
Yeah, I
I'm
forgot
wondering if
that.
they heard feedback and then they changed it a little bit, or these were all already pre-recorded anyway, and it just was going to be what it was going to be.
It could be. I have a feeling they had to have an idea of doing something like this. Like they've done it in the past, I feel like. So
Yeah.
like maybe it's just the way they rolled it out was a little clunky because they did the whole other part and now they're gonna do this. But if they keep it consistent with that, I think it should be pretty good. But yeah, that was one that I thought was pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited for. And then another one, I know you saw this right away and you like freaked out and told me, and I didn't pre-order it because of kind of where it's coming from, but it was one of the new comic covers. Now this is like an official, like it's out for
Yeah.
pre-order. We're going to talk about more comic cover stuff later, but the McFarlane Batman cover.
It's
So this is
awesome.
through Entertainment Earth because it's actually an exclusive through Entertainment Earth, which normally is the only time I get stuff through Entertainment Earth now lately, is if it's an exclusive. Like
Same.
I got the Bane exclusive. I think it was a Glow or whatever. The Day of the Dead. It's actually funny we were talking about that. So I didn't pre-order it, but it looks sick. I mean, we never got the older Batman, the old G one that we were supposed to get,
I
and that
know.
some reason is just gone. And now they're showing off this version, which I like the way it looks. Like we even saw. I don't know if it was just a McFarlane toy that came out that has like
Yep.
the same,
It's
like the
awesome.
with the cape and everything,
It was a
that kind of thing.
McFarlane toy.
Yeah, so same style as that, but obviously that pop will be inside of like a box with the actual comic
And they
cover.
continued to go with why I love this line, and we'll talk more about it later, but it's a new mold.
Yeah, yeah.
There's never been a Batman pop like that. Even though some people are complaining that they didn't include like the whole cover with him holding the woman within his cape, but I'm just like, come on, that you're really being
On
nitpicky
the
with that.
pop itself, you
On
mean?
the pop itself, some
Yeah, no,
people
I
were
don't.
complaining. I'm like, you don't need that.
I'm honestly okay with them not completely mirroring the image.
Yeah.
Like as long as it's the actual person, mold, character, whatever that's in that image, I'm totally fine if they're doing something a little bit different or whatever. Just like you're just getting them. It doesn't have to be the exact mirrored version. I don't know. I think that would be a little much because like we've talked about it before. There's some comic covers and there's covers obviously in general. Like when we get to the movie poster stuff, which we'll talk about later, where there's multiple characters and multiple things, and it's like, are they going to come out with multiple? Like I don't think they are. I think they're making it more like one
Yes.
like main pop that fits that cover. But yeah, that's a pretty sick one, I think. I like I said, I gotta see it. I'll see it in person and see what I think, but I didn't actually pre-order it. I'm kind of being wary on what I pre-order, but that was one thing for sure. And then we also had I think we talked about this before, but the Marvel Collector Core box.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
Doctor
officially
Strange.
now, we've seen the Doctor Strange, we've seen a picture of it. So that's officially going to be coming. Usually when that happens before it comes out, someone usually leaks what's actually in the box. So I'm sure that'll drop pretty
Which the
soon before the
Disney
boxes
Plus
actually
one
do.
has not leaked yet, and it's late. Like I haven't gotten that yet. No
I
one.
wonder if that's why there has to be some kind of delay on that thing because yeah, it's not being sent out at all. So like
Yeah,
no one knows what's going on. And I wonder like why they're leaking it, or because at this point, like all the shows have kind of run.
and
So
this
it's not
box is
like
then scheduled to come out before the movie, which I
the
find
Doctor Strange
interesting.
one.
Yes.
Ooh, so that has to not be a spoiler. I was hoping it was going to be a super sick spoiler type
Me
pop,
too. Like it
but I would
should
think
be.
it isn't if it's coming out
But the
first.
movie has been delayed. I know we've talked about some past episodes. Like, could that be the problem? And they can't.
Maybe the box gets delayed too. Maybe that's not
Yeah.
really the official date, kind of like what's going on with the Disney one. So I don't know. We'll look out for that. If you guys are excited for that box, I mean, you could definitely let us know.
Another.
I think
Yeah.
it
No.
could be cool.
Another thing that I'm really excited about, which they launched tomorrow, they announced more NFTs, which we kind of predicted that this year they're totally going to ramp them up, and they're already doing it. So it's now
Yeah.
been less than a month. It had been one every month. Now we're getting two. I know we're crossing over into February, but it's the time span is less than a month.
Yeah.
And they're Nickelodeon, which I'm super pumped about. There's actually more redeemables this time than I think there's been in any of the lines.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty big one to collect, which I think this has the sickest royalty collection. It is Freddie Funko holding the Nickelodeon like blimp, like that you get at the Kids' Choice Awards, being slimed.
Signed. Yeah.
I need this pop.
Yeah, which that one is super sick. Honestly, like I kind of like what they're doing where they're making it a little bit of a bigger like line versus like
Yes.
very, very specific one. So like now it's like Nickelodeon. So like clearly Nickelodeon, they can go anywhere. There's so many different characters, but that opens it up where they can have 5 or 6 or 7 different ones versus back when it was only like 3 of one show or one specific character, that kind of thing. So like it started even with the retro one before was 2 completely different comics. They just put them together. So now at least they're keeping it under the Nickelodeon umbrella. So it makes you think like, are they eventually going to get into Marvel ones and DC ones and stuff? I think they
It
probably
is.
will,
But
but
one interesting take though on this, which once this was announced, I was like thinking about, I'm like, okay, one thing, the average person may not realize this, but 3 of these have now been dropped by the same company, Viacom CBS. They own Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they own Star Trek, and they also obviously own Nickelodeon. So I find it funny, out of the 3 of the big releases, they've all been done by the same company, which
but
I
that's
like.
got to be a license thing that they have going on
Yeah,
to drop
and
those.
I mean it's cool, but it's like, are we just going to keep getting more properties through them because they've already, like, I wonder if when they made a licensing agreement they included NFTs in it. I'm not sure who owns the rights to Popeye.
Yeah.
Just like going through the lines, and then obviously Freddie Funko is theirs,
Yeah.
and Iron Maiden. I'm assuming Iron Maiden owns. I don't know if they still own their own catalog and rights to stuff,
Yeah.
but it is interesting that almost all of the IP has been one company.
Yeah, that is interesting, and I guess that'll it'll open up if we see anything that's under a Disney umbrella. I guess
Yeah,
at that point, then we'll know that we're gonna get that stuff. But I don't know. I see them. I feel like this happens a lot, but I see them probably going if they do go into the major comic lines. I see
yep,
them going probably DC first.
I
I
agree.
feel like that's usually their easier route because Marvel is a lot bigger. I feel like for them to get, but
I agree.
I guess we'll see. But yeah, that. So you guys, if you didn't hear when he said tomorrow, so the February 1st is the official launch. So remember, you make sure you guys are on the digital.funko.com if you guys are interested. So it's 11 a.m. Pacific time, which is 1 o'clock p.m. No, 2.
Yep, two. It's 2
Yeah,
p.m.
2 o'clock p.m. here on the East Coast. And yeah, so I know you're definitely going after them. You've been on a streak, so obviously
Yeah,
you're gonna continue to do it. I'm gonna think about it. I don't know. They look pretty sick though. That like some of there's a Hey Arnold one, which is so funny because we were talking about
I know.
in the comic, in the cartoon animation episode. I was like, Hey Arnold stuff, like there should be more of that. So like that's one of them, and like
For
there's some
me
pretty cool
too, I just feel like
Danny
it's
Phantom.
destiny. Like I
So
legitimately started working
yeah,
At Nickelodeon, and they announced these during my first day of work. I'm
yeah,
like, oh my god, this is amazing.
that's gonna be
So
so
yeah,
cool.
I'm pretty pumped for these.
And then the last news. So before we get into the rumors, rumors were heavy, and we'll try to like kind of fly through the rumors, but there is a lot of them. But this kind of transitions a little bit of. Actually, you know what? Let's get into the rumors. So we'll start off the
Yeah.
rumors now. Yeah, because there's just so much. So right off the bat, you kind of mentioned this earlier, but we'll kind of start off with that, I think, because it was one of the bigger ones. So we do have some screenshots, at least, of. So this is what I was talking about before, leaks. So
Yeah.
Target, there's been a lot of Target leaks in sense of like us seeing the SKUs and the actual screenshots from like an inventory list and that kind of thing. And right now, the Marvel well, not even Marvel and DC comic covers line are growing insanely fast. So we talked about this before, where there was already a few coming out, and then we got some rumors potentially, and now we're getting actually seeing them with SKU numbers and stuff. So we know that they're probably pretty much coming out. And we have Marvel side, we got Miles Morales, we got Shuri, we got She-Hulk and Wolverine, and then on DC side we have Batgirl, Black Adam, and Green Lantern. So I'm
Ooh,
torn on this because these are sick. Pretty much all of them sound like they're going to be
they
sick.
are, yeah.
The comic cover line, we've talked about it before. It looks amazing. It's a very unique thing. You got the comic book cover on the back. The display case is really cool. You get a specific pop that from now, since we've seen, they're all pretty original.
Yep.
So we're not
All of
getting
them
like
have
redone
been.
molds. So that's awesome. But they're coming out with so many of these
Way
all
too
in a
many.
row, where that price point's a little bit higher. It's not a price of a normal pop, and they're bigger, so they're definitely going to take up a lot of space. What is your thought on
I
all
mean, yeah,
this?
my thought is I'm so down the middle of the road. Like I'm super excited because I love this line, but yes, this is growing way too fast. It's way too many. You're right. Like they're not the size of a pop, so they take up more room. And I like they don't. This is the one thing that Funko's been doing recently that's really bothering me. But the business side of me understands. You know, people are buying this stuff, but like they're making them not as special anymore. Like now it's like we're gonna see all these glam shots, even though they're sick and I want them all. It's just like, okay, now we're just gonna keep coming out with more and more. Where it's like so far, like we had that Superman one, we still have when that Batman one was announced. I know it still hasn't come out yet, but it was just like, okay, these just seemed more special. Now it's just like, okay, a new line that they're just gonna blow up, which I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of, and I don't really want. We know it's going to happen to the diecast as well, which that price point's even higher. Weirdly
mm-hmm.
enough, I'm surprised these are only $19.99. If I'm being honest, like it's only $5 more than a soda when it comes in that pretty nice like
Yeah,
display case. It has that comic image on the back, I, but there's still more money. I don't like that they're making so many of these.
yeah. I I'm the same way. Like I think they look awesome. I think it's cool that they are making more because of course we want to see these, and like I get it. Like the thing is, there's so many comics, right? How many comic characters and comic books are there? How many variations of the comic books? How many, in just one, Spider-Man, for instance, there's so many different versions. There's so many different stories.
Yeah.
So like obviously they have so much to pick from, which is a good thing because it'll open it up to a bigger fandom. And like maybe if you're a hardcore She-Hulk fan and the show's coming out, so that's exciting too. Like if you're gonna get that, you collect all She-Hulk stuff. That's an awesome thing to add. But I think it's starting to like, and I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but it's starting to kind of go back and forth on like Funko being a for us as collectors, and like we like things that
Yep.
collecting, which obviously when you collect you get a lot of them. That's hence kind of the word of
Yeah.
collecting. Or if it's more like a toy company where you're just getting stuff that you can just pull off the shelves, and there's a little bit for everyone, and it's a figure, so you can take it out because
Yeah.
like you went through that whole thing with like, oh, it's supposed to be taken out of the box that Funko said. So it's like as a company they're probably looking at it that way, but I feel like initially to us, like it became a collectible thing. It became a thing that value went up on it. It became a thing that you wanted to display. Like So like I'm torn because like I could see both sides, but when something like this comes out, it's exciting because it's a new line. Because we also can't be hypocritical and say like Funko should just keep making normal pops.
No,
No,
they shouldn't.
we
I
have yeah,
love
we've
how
said
they're
that they should be
innovating.
making different things. Exactly. But it's also tough because while they're doing that, in their mind, they want to spit them out so that they can make money because now they have 10 versions of them right out the bat. But when we're the kind of people that like to collect almost everything or completionists and whatever, it's like it's hard because there's not just money out there for us to just get everything. So like I think that's where for us I think it's tougher than some other people. Maybe some people just hate it, they don't like it, so it doesn't bother them. And then there's other people that are like, oh well, I'm only going to get one, I only like Venom, so I'm only collecting
I
Venom
know,
stuff,
which is weird. Like, I feel like this is the first line of they've made that is in these display types. Like, if we talked in the past, like they have the video game covers, they have the albums where, and I know you kind of have most of the albums, but I looked at those. I'm gonna get the artists that I like for the video
Mhm.
games ones. Like I am gonna be getting. I pre-ordered the Halo one because I'm a big Halo fan, and I had the Sonic the Hedgehog one. Like I didn't need like they made a Diablo one. Like it
Yeah.
looks sick, but I didn't need that one. That I feel like when you're a comic book fan, like Marvel, for example, like I want them all, and I think they know that.
Yeah.
Where maybe people were picking and choosing, like, okay, I'm getting the Metallica one, but I'm not getting the NSYNC one. That's not
Yeah.
going to really, I don't think, happen with the comic book line for people.
Yeah. I was that way. So like the when the pop albums are probably the best example because it's the first one that kind of released where it was very different. It was in a case, it had a display, and
Yeah.
that was like the launch, the one that they launched with, right? And the first one was Notorious B.I.G. And it was like him as the baby. Well, it's not even him, but like the album as
Yo, it's
baby,
pretty sweet.
which actually isn't him. It's just a random actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a baby, and it was super sick. And it's like awesome. The album, first of all, is an amazing album, but like to see this pop, the pop itself is cool because it's a little baby pop. That's awesome. So like I got it. And then I was like, this is a cool looking thing. And since it's number one, same thing, kind of like what I'm doing with diecast, I was like, I can continuously get this line. Like, I'm not going to get every single Star Wars pop. I'm not going to get every single Marvel pop because there's so many that have been out. So I started getting number two, and then I got number three. And then there was some that like I should have just gotten the ones I loved, which was like the Linkin Park one.
Yeah.
Amazing. The My Chemical Romance. Like those are sick. But I actually was getting everyone, even the AC/DC line and Black Sabbath. And I'm like, I know them. I don't listen to it that much, but I just got it because it was next in line. But then it got to like Motorhead, and I even have that one. I can't even tell you a Motorhead song, bro. And like I got it because it looked cool, but it was like number 8 in the line, and then number 9, and that's it. But then they stopped kind of dropping them.
Yeah.
So like it was weird because I was like, what's going on? Like, is this line over? Did it not sell? I have them all. All right, cool. Maybe I have all the ones that exist. That's even cooler. But then they switched it up and they came out those double album ones, right? But even so, I'm wondering if that's going to happen with this. Like the games, they kind of drop like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And are they just going to kind of like stop?
Stop.
And then now they're going to do comic covers and they're going to drop. Because think about it, the comic covers, they only dropped one. It was supposed to be 2, but they only dropped 1. Now we're getting rumors for more. But once we get those 10 or however many we're seeing now, like, are they going to stop? If that's the case, then maybe it's not that bad. But I think they're just so popular that there's no way. With the music, I feel like they could do that because it wasn't as like,
Yeah. It's
popular.
so funny because the thing that I find so awesome about the original music ones was they were pops of what was on the album. I bet you the average person didn't like that. They're probably like, oh, I rather have, a pop of Biggie in a picture of his album, even though there's Biggie pops. So I feel like that's probably why that faded into the sunset, because the new deluxe albums are, the proof is almost in the pudding. It's now just the musicians. There hasn't been, I mean, maybe
that's true. That's true.
But I don't know if that's just coincidence, but
it could be partly because all the bigger ones are also like groups now, like bands and groups, versus where these were for the most part, not all of them were individual, but yeah, like you said, there were more the actual, which I liked. It was the
it's
actual
cool.
album, and there was a pop version of that. Because like to this day, I don't care what pop you bring to me, the Linkin Park Hybrid Theory mold of that pop
Is
is one of the
awesome.
best pops ever made. And it's only in that album though. Like it doesn't exist as a normal pop.
Which is
So
cool.
like I love that.
But they're a band. My
Yeah,
Chemical
yeah.
Romance is a band.
And they
Like,
didn't. They went
yeah,
just with the actual, yeah, whatever was on the thing, which I thought that was cool. It made it unique. It made it the other versions, it's kind of like they're just making 4 packs and 5 packs. They're just putting the album art because you're not getting a real album, you're just
yeah,
getting the art on it. So like that line I don't like. The double ones, I only like the original ones. And even then, like I'm just wondering like what happened with that, like why they stopped doing it. But like that's kind of even going off here. We're just talking
yeah.
about more of the comic covers. I just feel like that's the easiest to relate it to. And it just makes us think like, are they going to go overboard with this? And seeing this many that are like rumored and dropping, it kind of makes it scary because I feel like they are, especially when they're like Marvel and DC, which those IPs are enormous. So like you know that they can go wild with them. And if you think about it, like I'm looking at it now and it's like these aren't even the most
No,
popular characters.
dude.
Some are, but some of these are definitely not the most popular characters.
Yeah,
So like
they're
when's
gonna
the
go
Iron
overboard.
Man one? When's the Iron Man one going to come out? You know
When's
how
the Captain
freaking
America one
popular,
coming
how
out? Yeah,
popular that comic is alone.
yeah.
Like it's going to be insane. Like, and there's other like comics, of course, that they get even crazier. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, that's like one of the biggest rumors for sure. And even like we can kind of go off of that and go with this other line, which I know you're very excited for, but this is the one that I'm a little scared to see like what are they going to do because it's the movie posters line. So we kind of talked about this rumor a long time ago because we heard it was potentially going to come out. I think Star Wars, one of the episodes was
Yep.
one of the ones that was potentially going to be the first one. And all we've seen is like the poster, not a pop, not in a case. But to me, it's confusing because a movie poster, unlike an album or unlike, a comic cover, doesn't always have a character on it. And if it does, it's sometimes multiple ones. So it's like, what are they going to do? But right now we have a onslaught of Disney that is rumored
Yeah,
to drop,
which is
which is
crazy
crazy.
because yes, I am excited, but that's a perfect example to even go off the comic book covers. They're gonna make way too many of these. That drop what was way too many titles all in just one
Yeah.
rumored release, which means I have a feeling they will milk the Disney line and legitimately make one for every animated feature they've ever made.
That's insane.
Especially because they have some pretty iconic covers. And if I'm Funko, I'm going to play off the nostalgia of when Disney had those very iconic VHS cassette tapes that were like the plastic that opened and they all have Disney puts a lot of money in making sure that their posters look awesome, especially in for their animated movies, that they're going to make them for all of those, which is just
So
way too many.
the only thing that I'm wondering, so I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember seeing exactly if this is because, of course, it's just a rumor. If this is being quoted, like if it's showing, is it Funko Pop movie posters or is it just Funko movie posters? Because that gets me thinking, like, is there
Oh,
going to be a pop in this, or like, is it something completely different?
because one thing that I thought it could be, now it's funny you say that, like I envisioned the product having a pop, but it would be cool if the people in the posters actually were in pop form, like we get on like our
Yeah,
tees and whatnot. But
yeah, all the
maybe
t-shirts. Yeah,
that's what the movie posters are. They are movie posters, like legitimately a poster you hang up
yeah,
on the
because we don't
wall.
even know the size. Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
know if it's. We're just kind of
everyone's
guessing that it's
assuming
the
that.
comic cover style or something.
Yeah,
And because like I mean, like yeah, there's Toy Story, Lion King, Kingdom Hearts, Hercules, Goofy, Emperor's New Groove. Like there's so many Disney ones, but then there's also Halloween was one of them that we've seen a few times.
yep,
And like that cover is just the knife with the pumpkin in the face. Like Michael Myers isn't even on that cover. So like, is it going to be a Michael Myers pop on there? Is it going to be just a pumpkin thing? Is it just a poster? Like I don't. So it's like it's really interesting. Like we can probably go on about this, but like just to kind of let you guys know, that was one of the big rumors. Just but let us know like your thoughts of that because that's a big topic that I don't know. Maybe some people don't even know that that's something that's going to
coming.
potentially exist, but we've been seeing this for a little while. This was the biggest drop, like of a bunch of them all at once, and it's on a list and it supposedly is real. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that is legit or not. But I kind of want to keep going because there's a ton of other stuff too.
Yeah,
So rumor wise, like soda was the next biggest thing. So we have talked about this before. Soda is, in my opinion, and we said it before, I think it's taking over the Funko game. I think sodas are gonna outdo pops
Yep.
eventually. Like it's just seems like it's easier for them to make, and the excitement behind it and having chases and everything. Just there's so many reasons why. But right now we have a crazy list, and some of these are a little bit more confirmed than others.
Yep.
Some of them have like a street date of July, supposedly, that they're going to be coming out, and then a couple other ones are more like rumored. But anytime we've seen sodas be rumored, they're usually officially dropped not too far after. And Gizmo was one of them, and Yogi
Yogi
Bear was
Bear.
another one. Yeah, so those are officially now out. But this list includes an Ezra, Black Panther, Ursula, Pete, Rick from Rick and Morty, Witcher, Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is awesome, Winter Soldier, Dark Side, Sam, which I'm so excited for, Bullwinkle, RoboCop, Darth Vader, Shorty, one of the clowns, killer clowns. We got Predator, Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph, Sock Monkey. How do you pronounce it? Isma. Which is I think that's a Disney movie, right? Isma or with the YZMA.
YZMA. I'm not sure.
He's from one of those like cartoons. Frankenstein, Hades, and Carnage.
Ridiculous.
That list is nuts. And I mean, it's fun to see these kind of lists though, because then I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah, sorry, not to interrupt you. That is the villain from Emperor's
New Groove.
Yes,
okay, yeah.
Sorry, which they love that line.
Which I know they made a pop and exclusive. I think this one's supposed to be a WonderCon exclusive to Soda, which makes sense. I mean, that totally seems like a lot of these could definitely be real. Some of these I'm like, wow, I didn't think about that being a cool pop. And like our Soda and like Stone Cold Steve Austin's one of them. Like that's awesome. That means it'll open up WWE line. Like that's great. And we're gonna talk about sports stuff later, so that's perfect. But like the Predator and Sam obviously would be amazing, and even a Carnage. Like some of these are like, wow,
They're
like
awesome.
these things would be so sick. But it's starting to get insane too. The only thing is with sodas, I'm a little bit more okay with grabbing them, because even though they're $15 each and whatever, maybe the price isn't the craziest, I can have more of them and not take up as much room as like trying to chase all the, the comic covers and that kind of thing. So that's like my take on it. But like, what do you think about it? These sodas are insane.
It's insane. But the one that's interesting is like they're clearly, as like a product line, catching up with like the pop line, for example. Like we are getting announcements just so all over the place. I mean, where traditionally now pop lines are aligned with new properties that are coming out, whether it's a new movie or a TV show. They don't go back in time as much. But like the one that I'm super excited for, just an example, is the Disney Pete one, because that is going to be one of the original OG cartoon characters, which is probably going to be part of that Clara Bell cow line. Okay. So it's just so funny how they're like, I don't understand how they decide to drop these. I mean, that one's now over a year old, and I've been begging for more to come out in that line, and now it's just like random. We're going to drop this one in this list with all these other random pops, and then we get like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. So they're clearly now getting in the WWE game, which is amazing, but they're just all over the place, which I think is cool.
It is weird. Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely cool that we're getting a variety now, but it is interesting because it's like, what is the actual rhyme and reason? Because like, it's not like they're just dropping, like
there's
a specific line or Marvel ones or just a movie. Like they're literally going all over the place. And there's even lines that have dropped one or two that haven't even been finished yet, and now they're going off of brand new lines and whatever. So like, it is pretty intense. I mean, it's exciting though, because I love the sodas. I just can't wait to see these actually officially come out. I probably believe that most of these will be legit. We're just kind of waiting now, because every once in a while we'll get some more, and then we'll start to get those official SKUs and start seeing that they're in systems, which a lot of these are. So the Pete, Rick, Witcher, Stone Cold, Winter Soldier, Dark Side.
I think they're the next drop.
And I think the Yogi. Oh, well, Yogi, was actually announced. Though, and Sam, those are like, the next supposedly official drop, which is going to be something that's dropping in July. I believe that was the date that they're showing. Like it's going to drop soon, and they're going to like release then or something. So like, look out for those, because that's a pretty hell of a lineup there. If those
Another interesting really thing I don't know if you saw, but it's saying the Dark Side one is the Snyder Cut version, which I find to be really interesting. I'm all about that because I love Zack Snyder, and it's just random how that's another thing. When they decide, is this going to be a comic book version in the sodas, or is it going to be a movie version? Just like the new Captain America one, which is already out for pre-order, that is going to be Captain America from the comic book line, and they
Yeah.
haven't made like a Steve Rogers one from the MCU. Like, I would love to know what the deal is with that too. Like, it's interesting that they're just all over the place.
It is weird. And like I get why they would have multiple versions, but the way they drop them, I think is what's kind of confusing.
Yeah,
Like there's not like a rhyme or reason to like doing all the comic ones and then doing movie ones. And
exactly.
like so that's what's a little weird. But nonetheless, that was pretty much like the biggest. I mean, there was some other couple of rumors and stuff, but I definitely want to get into like, the main topic of
Well, the
the
one last rumor
episode.
that I want to talk about that will lead into
Oh,
our
yeah,
main
yeah.
topic,
Actually, yes. That's what I wanted to end with. Go ahead.
which is, I don't know why they went this route because I love the idea, but there's going to be a Shaquille O'Neal like pop within a magazine cover of Slam. So it looks like it's going to be a new line like the comic book covers. But why do they choose Slam magazine? It's so, I know it's an iconic image of him,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, what I would have liked to have seen is have a basketball card in the background, or even just something random, whether it's the Lakers logo or his jersey. Like, I don't know, I just think it's totally random. Like, I don't really want to get this because I just think it's so weird that it's the Slam magazine cover. I don't, do you
Yeah.
agree?
So it's a pretty big like, I mean, obviously that magazine's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty famous magazine, especially for that. And I know like his cover was pretty big. I'm sure they could have a Michael Jordan cover on something, maybe on Sports Illustrated or a Wheaties box or something like that. That's interesting. They could do cereals like that, right? So
Yeah.
I just thought about it out of nowhere. But if they make this like a magazine line and they have other types of magazines, then I think it won't be as weird.
Agreed. I'm not thinking that.
Yeah, if they're just sticking to Slant, I don't think they would do that. I just don't think there's enough to go off of that. So maybe this is just the first magazine they decided to do, just because they have the rights to do
So
the
if we get like
team
Sports Illustrated,
but
and
we get
like
like
if it's
Sports Illustrated, or we get like a very famous like Life, right? I don't know, some like magazine,
yep,
and it's a very famous cover. It could be
I
a
wasn't
cool
even
thing.
thinking of that. So
Yeah,
that's a
I looked
brilliant
at
idea.
it that way. I don't, just because I don't think that a Slam magazine only would sell enough. Like I don't think
Isn't
having
that a
just
weird
those
number one
covers.
though in a line?
It is, but I just don't, I don't know. It probably wouldn't have been as weird if it was like a Michael Jordan attached to it versus a Shaq,
Yes.
because they do have Shaq pops, but I feel like they have a lot of Michael Jordan pops, so I wouldn't have been as surprised. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think it's something that's. I mean, it'll tie into what we're talking about, obviously, because we're talking about sports. So like the sports line to me is something that it's an interesting one that I know we're gonna really get in
Yeah.
depth with in a minute. But yeah, it's a weird. So again, that's like a rumor. We haven't seen an official thing yet. But a few people have talked about it, so it is potentially going to be something that'll be real. But we'll look out for that. But yeah, that was the news and the rumors of the week. So we're going to transition into the rest of the episode, which this episode is now going to be surrounding Funko Sports Pops and a sports line in general. I love the sports line. So like both of us are sports fans, obviously. When it comes to Funko Pops, I think it's, in my opinion, one of the better lines. I mean, some people hate the sports pops. Some people kind of like them. I think it's a little divided for a few reasons. But right off the bat, we were talking about this beforehand, and I think like the way it's divided is like sports fans and people who are fanatics of their teams are usually hardcore fans of their teams, right? So like I think what happens when it comes to the pops that are sports, most people that are fans of their teams are only going to collect stuff that's from their teams. So like I'm a Yankees fan, I'm a Falcons fan, you're a Jets fan, you're a Mets fan. So like you're only going to collect your fandom of those teams, and I'm going to collect only my teams. But there's a lot of sports fans as well, and sport, which I feel like I'm one of those sports fanatics, where you collect legendary players, you collect,
Yep.
just a favorite player from a different team, maybe, like whatever it is. And I think there's like a mix of those. But what I find interesting is that, let me know if you think otherwise, but I think that overall it's not a popular line, although
Agreed.
I feel like it should be, because sports are synonymous with collectibles and memorabilia and like baseball cards. And even though like they've gone through their ups and downs, they
Yeah.
still exist. They still have people who are hardcore about them, and other sports cards, not just baseball cards, but and jerseys and helmets and things like that, but sports related things that I feel like, to me, I think a sports pop, so an actual figure. So like I have one here. So like I have a couple on my desk, sports one specifically. So like an actual sports figure to me, and tell me if you think this is weird, I think makes more sense that if Pops only had one line, it would be a sports one than any other line that exists.
Yeah, I agree with you in theory, but for some reason they haven't they have mishandled the sports line, in my opinion. And I think that's why it's not as
So that could
popular.
be it. But do you get what I'm saying though?
No, I totally get what you're
Like if
saying. And
someone
when you
from the
bring up
outside,
cards, like, yeah,
yeah,
and it's an easy way in. Like, I mean, I rather collect like sports Funko Pops and bobbleheads, which there are some hardcore bobblehead collectors, and
yes,
mostly they are of sports players.
sports majority.
So
Yep.
Funko did a bad job, in my opinion, of getting those types of collectors and bringing them over into the Funko world. And I don't know why, but it's ironic because I am one of those people who is a sports fanatic who
Mhm.
had only decided to collect the teams I like you mentioned before, which looking back, I'm kind of upset that I did it that way. But I did in the beginning basically being like, this is a huge line that's all dropping at once of all these teams. There's just no way I'm going to get all of them. So I decided to just get the teams that I liked.
Mhm.
And I think there needs to be a way for them to get sports fans into collecting and not just think of it that way. And I think one thing that they should do is maybe start making Funko Pop sports cards. I know we talked about before about getting people in, and maybe if you I think they should make these for the NFTs. Actually, I'm just spitballing. I'm thinking right in the moment because those would be cool. And then to get redeemable pops of like legendary players. I also think they do a bad job of they don't make as many. They're more too current. Like, perfect example. I think they should come out with a Hall of Fame line every year. They come out with a Hall of Fame box. Like, they should come out with a new David Ortiz one. He just got elected into the Hall of Fame. I know there's a David Ortiz pop, I believe, or maybe there isn't.
No, I don't know. I don't think there is actually. There may be, but I don't know for sure.
So like they should like for Mike Piazza is my one of my most favorite players of all time. He does not have a pop. Like they should have a pop. They should have like pops of legendary players, not just current people. And especially they make people who are like popular at the time, like Noah Syndergaard, who I love, but he's no longer on the Mets now. I don't even want that pop anymore
Yeah.
because I know as a huge fan, I have a sour taste in my mouth about him. And I ultimately don't think he's going to become a Mets legend like he could have been if he didn't leave the team. And they're way too current. Like I have a Le'Veon Bell Jets pop. That is garbage. Like
Yeah.
I just
Yeah. He
like
was barely, he was
he was
barely
on the
even on
team
that
for
team.
a year.
Yeah.
They kind of make who they think is the shiny new toy of the year
Yeah.
player. Like, and I don't like how they handle that. And I do think that's part of the problem. If they made all these legacy like, is there a Derek Jeter pop? I don't think there
No,
is. That's
no. And that's my
ridiculous.
number one most wanted
There you
sports
go.
pop.
So they're like, that's why I don't think these lines are as big as they should be.
Yeah. So you're totally right. So I completely agree on like why it's not, in the sense of like that they're missing out on some things. And I was gonna go into that too, where I feel like there's definitely some people that like they need to have. Like when it comes to sports, you think of very specific ones, and like, but then at the same time, they kind of do have the obvious ones that they've milked. Like, look at how many Michael Jordan pops there are. Look at how they have a
Yes.
bunch of Wayne Gretzky pops. Like, like those are legends, right? So then they made a bunch of them. But there are still other people that, like you said, like I feel like they like, why did they make a Le'Veon Bell Jets pop when in reality, when you really think of Le'Veon Bell, you think of the Steelers. That's essentially his majority of his
Yes.
career. And even if they were going to make one, they should have made it that. And if even so, they probably shouldn't have even made a Le'Veon Bell pop, right? So like they did it, and they did it the year that he was on the Jets. I guess that's just the year that they decided to make it. So it is interesting with sports because obviously players do change teams, which that's going to
Of
happen. So
course.
sometimes like you're going to see them on an older team, and that's perfectly fine. But I feel like there's like obvious people. Like, yeah, they have Tom Brady and they
Or
have
even like,
one OG Peyton Manning, but like there's obviously other guys that they totally are missing
yeah, because do they only make a Peyton Manning with him on the Broncos?
on the Broncos. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Like, how do
Yeah.
we not have a Colts one? But even too, like with NFL draft, they should at least be making the top 10 picks. Like, obviously, I'm a Jets fan. Like, why is there not a Zach Wilson pop? Like, I just think that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
So
ridiculous.
I think what's interesting is like, so if you guys don't know, so like with sports, like, because I wrote these down, so there's a lot of different sports, obviously, and like Funko wise, like they have the NBA, they have the MLB, NFL, they have soccer, they have UFC, NHL, golf, WWE, boxing, NASCAR, tennis, and that's pretty much the majority of like the main ones, right?
Yep.
Then they do have a sports legends line, but it's like pitiful because they call it sports legends and it's like barely pops that exist there, right? And maybe they just haven't made the molds of the new ones. But I find it interesting because they have Ali and Babe Ruth under there, right? Okay,
Yep.
makes sense. They're legends, right? But then they have they have 4 U.S. women's national team soccer teams on there. They should have their own line. They should be making women's soccer team pops,
Yeah, they
but
shouldn't be under
give
the
them their own line.
legends. Yeah.
Like I get why, like there was that team was a big deal and whatever, but like to me, I was like, have them have their own line and make more of them. There's not just the U.S. women. There's other soccer
Yeah.
women
And like,
players, right?
no
So like,
offense, like nothing against the women's team. Yes, they are legends, but they shouldn't be in the same line as Babe Ruth. I'm
but that's
just
what I'm
sorry.
saying. Like, yeah, it just doesn't make to me. It just doesn't make sense. Like who they're putting in there. But yeah, sports legends would then you can then cross sports and you can go with the OG ones that don't play anymore, and you want to make pops of them, and you want some of these old football players or baseball, whatever it is, and you can make them into sports legends. But I think that they kind of dropped the ball on like how they, like you said, like how they're going to deliver this, because I also found this interesting. So the sports pops, I even wrote down the major ones like when they came out. So this is crazy. The first one that I saw here is NBA. So the NBA came out in 2013. So it was LeBron James on the Cavs was the first number one under the NBA line.
Okay.
Right. So you're already going to start having newer players essentially, right, from 2013 on. And then the NFL came out in 2014. The MLB and the NHL didn't drop till 2017. So they didn't even exist, which is crazy that those were the first ones. And then soccer, just 2019 is when the first time they started dropping soccer. And it's only British Premier League. It's not even anything else soccer related.
Which
it's not any
is crazy.
It's nuts. That's not any other teams or whatever. But regardless, like the way they're doing it, I hate how they do it.
No, it is not only, it's actually not only English Premier League, because
there's only a couple of the teams, I think.
There's other teams outside.
There's PSG. Yeah, there's the PSG.
There is.
So it is kind of just like a random.
But they don't make.
There's no Spanish teams.
Yeah, how's there not a Lionel Messi pop? There's not a Ronaldo pop. Like it makes no sense. Like, come on,
should be the first 2 soccer players.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
because I'm a big soccer fan, and I don't have any of them because there's nothing that I really want. I mean, they make some of the big teams, but it's not like they make legendary players. It's once again, they're kind of going with the current. And soccer changes all the time. Like players transfer, they leave. It's just, I can go on. I'm very passionate about this because I think they've really butchered the not making like I know they make the current players and the teams, but like they gotta like go back a lot more than they really are for every sport.
Yeah, I agree with making the current stars. That makes sense. You're going to catch people that are watching it now. You're going to get all different ages. That totally makes sense. I get them making waves, drop 5 or 6, one key main player from a team. That's perfectly fine. But maybe it's because they're playing catch up. Because what I found interesting was when I saw that the MLB ones dropped in 2017, right? Maybe that was a licensing thing. Could have been.
Yeah.
But let's say in 2017, they finally get the license. They're allowed to do this, right? The pop number 4 in that line, and I have it, is Aaron Judge. This guy I'm a diehard Yankee fan, and I love him. I think he's amazing. He just started playing like yesterday. Like he's number 4 in the MLB line. So like the fact that like, okay, then they come out with Gleyber Torres, they have Gary Sanchez, so they come out with a couple more Yankees current. That's fine. But yes, like how besides Babe Ruth, how's there not a Derek Jeter? To me, it's crazy because Derek Jeter is the one. I wrote it down. Like if I had to get one sports pop that doesn't exist yet, Derek Jeter would be the one. Favorite player of all time. And like I feel like they can do it if they drop their current line and then they throw in one or two like legends or something. Even if they don't put him as
They
a
should make a
legend or
Cooperstown line, like in my
which
opinion. Like
I they don't they have that for so they have so they did it with the NBA. The NBA they've done a pretty good job with because with
they
the
have, and
NBA,
I look at all the not that I'm not an NBA fan, but out of all the major sports, it's more on the bottom of my list. So, but you're right,
yeah,
they have done a pretty good job with that, and those pops only get sicker and sicker. It's now not them just standing there; they're like
yep,
kind of dunking or they have
yeah,
some more
yeah. They have a
motion to
ball, they're doing a movement, yeah. So and what's good about that is they did the current players, they continue to do current players. They started with LeBron James and they went on, but we still have Kobe Bryant. We obviously have Michael Jordan. We have those legendary guys, but then we have the OG guys that are being re-released, which is perfectly fine. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and then they did the Dream Team.
Yep,
That was
which
an
is
easy
cool.
way for them to like kind of pull some of those old guys. Okay, that's fine. But like they could do that with baseball. They could drop a couple other guys. They could do that with football. They could drop some of these Hall of Fame guys, and yeah, maybe have it like a Hall of Fame line, or make it more specific to like if they want to do it that way, then they could really like be like, okay, these guys fit into this, or they could still have them be under the football line and actually just drop them. I don't think people would be confused. Like it'd be good, like to
Yeah,
have them mixed
because
in.
it gets a little confusing. Because I mean, we're going back and forth with sports, but like the NFL, you know, as a Jets fan, yeah, they don't have as many legends as other teams, but like Joe Namath, one of I think one of the greatest players of all time, he does have a pop, and that's just like
Mhm.
they randomly made some like legendary players. Like there's a
Dan
Steve
Marino.
Young, yeah, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, and but like they kind of are just they came out with a few of them, and then like they kind of moved on. It's like they thought who they should have picked at the time, and I don't think they've really have gone back to anything like that, and they clearly don't have it for baseball. It's kind of funny. I think was the Babe Ruth one like a con pop?
No, so there's a couple versions. So there's like a black and gray one, like
I
obviously it's
think
like
there's
black and
two,
white. Then
right?
there's like then there's a colored one. I think there's actually three, maybe, because
Okay.
then I think there's another variant that came out. But those are that, like I said, that's number two in the sports legends line, which came after the Ali, which is there's a color and there's a black and white version of
And I
it.
could be wrong by saying this, but I get the sense who's ever in charge of these isn't actually a sports fan. And
Yeah,
like
which makes
which could
sense.
be the
And I think
case.
that's why, because it also it makes sense too, because specifically with the baseball line and the football line. So baseball is 2017, football is 2014. The number one pop for each of those is a Seattle team because of its local,
Yep.
obviously, to their so Russell Wilson's the first football pop that ever came out. And then
Which I
Felix
okay, I'm
Felix
cool with that.
Hernandez. Yeah, Felix Hernandez is the first Seattle. So
But like,
and
is
then
there an
Robinson
Ichiro
Cano.
pop? One of the greatest Mariners of all
I don't.
time.
I feel like I remember seeing something about that, but I don't think they do. But they do have the Mariners. They did kind of because they have a Ken
They
Griffey
have
Jr.
Griffey.
pop.
Yeah, they do, which
Yeah.
those are
So
sick.
so those make sense. And then I mean, like I'm okay with that. Like yeah, obviously they're gonna make their Seattle team. That's cool. But I feel like
They even make their
honestly,
minor league team, which I weirdly enough have the mascot of the because
oh yeah, yeah,
Funko
the minor league one. Yep.
and they are the like sponsor of the team. Like their name is on the
Ah.
stadium. So they do like it's funny because my sister, weirdly enough, used to do business with the minor league baseball. She traveled to like all their stadiums during one of the summers, and
Oh.
she got me one of the pops from there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, they definitely show love to the Seattle sports, which I totally am cool with
Yeah.
because that's where
Absolutely.
they are.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's just weird. I think back in 2013, 14, 15, like those years, I just think they didn't know what they were doing. They were like, you know what? Let's get into the sports game. We'll get some of these pops and like who's out now, who's hot, who's gonna do whatever.
Yes.
Like to me, I don't have any of these, and I know we have viewers that collect these, but like the NHL line, right? To me, I feel like that line is kind of doing it right, but it also just recently dropped. And I feel like there's a lot of NHL pops, even though it just recently dropped, compared to like the football pops or the baseball pops that have been out a little bit longer, because I feel like maybe now they're getting it. And since that was a new line, like, because there's a ton of different players, like hockey wise, I've seen there's
You're
always
right.
like a new
They
wave
do.
coming out, and they even have some of the legendary, not all, because I know for a fact, if you're a hockey fan, I'm sure you could blurt out a bunch of hockey players that are missing that should be in pop form and don't exist. But it just, I don't know, it's just weird because it still comes back to me where I can say this with confidence that I feel like the sports pop line is like the most underrated line. Like, I think it could
It
just
is
be, it
underrated.
could be good, but they're just not like doing it right. Or like you said, they're just missing the way they're delivering it, or they're not giving us. I just think the
The
fact of
only thing,
having a figure makes
do you think
sense.
it could have to do with like some of these players, they're not allowing their likeness to be
It
made?
it probably is. Like, even when it comes to like video games, right? Like, that's a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
likeness, like certain people don't sign off. And another thing is, with majority of, believe, all sports, there's a players or union. So they're not even, so they're also part of that. So I know there's agreements to that. There's, this whole big players agreement between them and the owners and the teams and stuff. So that's probably the reason, honestly. Maybe Derek Jeter doesn't want to be, maybe like some of these people, but I just feel like there's enough. I don't know. There's this other figures that come out. Like, there's bobbleheads.
Well, that's what
There's
this is where sports is also very unique compared to, I know we brought up before, like the whole Tom Cruise thing that he doesn't want his likeness. Being an actor is way different than being an athlete, where you are in the business where there are cards of you. Like you said, there are
Mhm.
bobbleheads. Like that is like a thing that just is like people get pictures of you. I mean, they sell them professional shots when you go to the stadiums and like they're autographed. Like it's just more of like, I feel like a thing when you're an athlete. So I don't see like why wouldn't Derek Jeter want, like I don't see him being like, I don't want a Funko Pop made of me.
Yeah.
But or like, are they just not reaching out to his people? Is that what needs to happen? I just, yeah, sorry, for all you viewers, I'm really passionate about this because like I am a huge sports guy and like I just don't, the
Yeah, same.
line is just so, one bright spot of the line. I think the mascot line's pretty cool. But the one thing I don't like is they never finish it either. Like I don't think there is every team. They don't make one for every team, and that's always where, once again, like for someone who lives, on the East Coast, I clearly don't like the more popular team. So, or if you're from New York or New Jersey, most people like the Yankees and the Giants. I like the Mets and the Jets, and I know there's been times when they come out with these lines, like they don't even pick a player from the Jets or the Mets. The only Jets pops they make are Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell. And besides the Joe Namath is a legend. Obviously, the other two aren't even on the team anymore.
Yeah.
You could find a player, even just like if you don't think that they're like, there are unsung heroes on the team who are staples that someone should be telling them, like, we're going to make a pop of them, even if it's not a mega star like a Tom Brady. Like, that's
It
where I think,
has to be whoever's like tapped
yeah,
into like
because that's where they've
making
messed
them,
up. Because
or
that's
the,
another
yeah.
thing. I'll go on with the Mets. Like they won't, like Noah Syndergaard. He was like an electric player who really, put himself out there, created his whole character being Thor. I mean, they made two pops of him. Like, but there's the entire rest of the field that they have made none of these players. They made a DeGrom, so another pitcher, and then they just finally made a Pete Alonso pop because
Alonzo, yeah.
he is, an electrifying player. But that's all they're really going for. There's other very good players on, I'm just choosing my team, but on all these teams that, maybe every year you make another one instead of being like, okay, there's no superstar. They must think it's not going to sell, but
Yeah, I
they're
was gonna
they're
say,
clearly betting on people, in my opinion, who are just collecting all sports players because they're good. Then they're not really going after the fans of a team with that
yeah.
strategy.
Yeah, it has to be that they think maybe it just won't sell, but then like maybe if they had more people would be prone to buying them,
Yeah,
because like I said, it's definitely split where it's fans of just a team that are going to only collect that, and then fans of sports who are going to collect big players or anybody regardless. So I feel like they can totally get both by just dropping more stuff and making it more,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean they have to drop a 53-man roster football team. Like that's not what we're
Exactly. Yeah.
asking,
No. Yeah.
like we just there's just obvious ones that I feel like definitely are missing, and I just wonder if it is like hurdles with the union, the players union, or likeness and all that kind of stuff, like where like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But like you said, there's still baseball cards with majority of these people, if not all of them. There still is other action figures and toys and stuff of a lot of sports figures as well. So like that's already there. So there has to be another reason why not. But I just think that I love the line. I think they usually are pretty detailed. Like you can and what's
Yeah. They've
crazy is
gotten
it's a
way
yeah,
better too.
it's a people pop, but like when you see one, like you can tell who the person is. Even if you don't know
Yes.
exactly the team, you can tell who the person is because they do a really good job of the hair and of the somewhat features. Obviously, we know Funko is pretty not meant to be feature heavy, but they make it enough that like you know who it is. And I just feel like I love the line, but I feel like probably for the reasons that you said is the reason why the line isn't as popular as I think it should be. I think as a collector, to me, I just feels like it makes the most sense because sports has been around forever. Sports are going to continue to be around. And a lot of these players and these people, like all they do is get more famous. Like, right. Over time, they get more popular and they get more famous and they break records and they go to Hall of Fames and they do all these things. And it's like, those are, there should be like the things that you should be collecting versus like just some random cartoon character that maybe was popular for a
Yeah.
year
Yep.
and never again. You know what I'm saying? So like
I do.
that's why I'm confused with like, to me, why I said it's very underrated. And I feel like it's one of the best lines when you really break it down. Not if you're a fan of anything, just if you're looking at it from the outside looking in, you would think that Funko Pops would be dominated by sports because of the fact that there's other sporting collecting things and like that there's people love sports,
Yeah.
everywhere around the world. So like,
I think
I don't
one
know.
of the other
I'm pretty
issues though,
passionate about that.
no, another issue though too, I think, and we talk about it all the time, is like space. Because I'm
Mhm.
sitting here thinking like, if you're a card collector, why not start collecting pops? But you open your packs of cards, you put them in a binder, they take up the amount of space of like what one pop would take up.
Nothing. Yeah.
And so that I think is another reason, like for someone who, I mean, I collected baseball cards hardcore growing up, and yeah, I was excited to get like players that weren't on my team.
Yeah.
But for someone who collects, like I have some, Mets and Jets sports memorabilia, it's like next to some of my jerseys or helmets, am I really going to put a pop then of, I'll use Tom Brady,
Yeah.
because no, I would never want a Tom Brady pop, even though he's a legend. And if I got his card, it'd be pretty cool, like in my collection. But it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to place a Tom Brady next to my Jets helmet.
Yeah. I
I,
get that too. That the hardcore fanness kind of
that's
also
part of the
affects,
problem.
yeah, also affects that. And I feel like that is probably why sometimes some things don't sell because they're in a smaller market. So those fans aren't like, say, because to me, I collect all sports. Like I went for a little while. I had videos dropping where I was
Yep.
just mostly getting sports, and like there was a baseball line that dropped, and I'm getting Javi Baez, who at the time was actually on
Yep.
the Cubs, obviously the Met now, but like him and like he's Puerto Rican, so like yeah, that's cool. I like him because he's Puerto Rican. I'm not a Cubs fan, but like I just liked that young up and coming player, and I was getting like a bunch of those. Pete Alonso I picked up, and I'm not a Mets fan at all,
Yeah.
but like that's because that's how I was as a collector, just because I liked those guys, right? So like I think there's more people like me. I don't think I'm the only one, but
No, you're totally not. Because like
it's
I'm
just
weird.
weird.
I'm going back and forth. Like I feel like I want to be more that way, but it's just like that's where I've chosen to like pare down my collection, even though I do wish, I think going forward, I may get some more players that I just like that aren't necessarily
Yeah,
part of my team, because then I'm gonna have no sports Funko Pop collection, which I do want to have. Like
yeah, yeah.
that's like,
I think it's a cool line to have, especially because like for two reasons. One, just because it'll be cool, it looks awesome to have different players, whatever. And then if you're a value collector, it's also something good because some of the stuff value goes up. And
Yeah,
like,
people are
for
already
instance,
freaking about out that they'll go get the Tom Brady pop because is he retiring? Is he not retiring?
exactly. I was
Which
just gonna say even more recent, Joe Burrow.
I
He's
was
in the
just
Super
about to
Bowl right
say
now.
that too.
I
Now
have
it's
the
like
Joe Burrow
boom,
pop.
people are gonna want that.
Exactly. I have it and I got it just because it was part of the newer line of football pops that came out and I did videos on it. And I was like, yeah, because he's cool. He's young. I'm like, he's a great player. Like, totally could root for this guy. Not a fan of that team, but I'm a fan of the sport and I still like, getting those guys. But yeah, that's one that maybe we'll shoot. Who knows? Because Funko value is weird. Like sometimes that
Yeah.
seems obvious reason why it should shoot up, but I guess we'll see. Like he's now in the Super Bowl. Maybe if he wins it, it'll shoot up even more. But yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy line. It's big, but it can obviously be bigger because sports are so big and there's so many athletes out there. I did want to touch on one thing which I thought was pretty interesting. I'll see if like you think reason why you think this is, but we've talked about this before when we talked about Marvel and like the pop tag, right? When it says pop and what it is.
Yep.
So I don't know if you knew this, but so the one that says MLB, so it's pop MLB, pop UFC, pop WWE, and pop NASCAR. That's what it says. For the NBA, it says pop basketball. For the NFL, it says pop football. But for soccer, it also says pop football, which is weird because they're two different lines and they start over at one, but they both say pop football. Um, and then boxing, golf, tennis, they all say the sport. Like they don't say obviously the major name. So only MLB, the UFC, NASCAR, and the WWE are the only ones that are like the name of the actual thing. Do you think is a reason for that?
I, I'm
It's weird.
assuming that they don't want to pay the rights to put the logo on there because the MLB logo, yeah, is on the MLB
So the
pops.
logos are on it, and then they also have the holographic like stickers and
Sticker.
stuff, which yeah, but like under the pop thing. And then this one is even weirder. These are just like stupid facts that I found afterwards. But the NBA line, so remember the NBA line was the first line that came out in sports, was actually Pop Sports all the way until number 39 when it switched to Pop NBA or no Pop Basketball.
Is
Did
that
you know
when you
that?
think I didn't? But do you think that's because that's when they got other sports?
2018. No, MLB was
Oh,
no,
that's when it changed.
no, it was 2018. It's changed
Oh,
2018.
that's weird.
Super
That's
weird.
super strange.
So if you have like the OG LeBron, OG Kobe, like some of those, which were funny because those pop molds are like OG,
Yeah,
like when we talked about some of these old
yes.
ones, like they looked super OG. Yeah, it was Pop Sports, which is interesting. Obviously, it makes sense why they eventually changed it, but it's weird that that's how it was. I saw that after.
Because they used to be pretty limited, I feel like, at that point of food they did make. They really only made the star players. Where
Yeah,
now, like, I know in their mind they're making all-star players, but they do sometimes pick like a player just to make them to have representation of a team, even though they don't
other
always
team, yeah,
make all the teams, but not everyone I feel like deserves to get a pop the way they used to make them.
yeah. Which
That
I
makes
I think
sense.
it, I think it what it is the representation thing because like for instance when I was picking up the baseball pops I was getting most of them and not to say that he's not a bad player because he is a pretty good player but Ketel Marte is plays for the Diamondbacks. He's
Yep.
not like he's pretty good. He's potentially going to be traded whatever. He's a big deal, but I think they only made him because he was a Diamondback player and they didn't have any Diamondback players.
Yep.
So it's like when the All-Star game and you just need to get that one guy to represent that team. So like I feel like they also do that. But then I feel like there's still other people that they're missing that seem more obvious.
It's
But
funny. One line too that like you can correct me if I'm wrong if you know this. They've done it in the past, but like I feel like it should be done every year. Like they have a Super Bowl line, I think, like when the team won a Super Bowl, they
yeah.
had I've definitely seen like definitely a Tom Brady one, I think, and a Drew
Hmm.
Brees one of them wearing like a Super Bowl champions hat. Like
Yeah.
they should make those every year. I actually think they should do that even for all sports.
I think they're actually the only two that I can think of too. I know for
Yeah,
a fact there's definitely
I think
Brady and
they're the only
there's
two. So like that to me is also like super strange. Like start off with a line and then like not complete it. Like I think that's like to me, I'd be more inclined to collect those maybe. Because then it is like, oh, I'm collecting like the champ. Like it's so funny going back how I've said I'm pretty hardcore with the teams I like, but a tradition I had growing up with my dad, which I really loved, was whoever won the World Series, like when I was young, like I got the hat and I collected like all these teams hats. Even though I was a Mets fan, like whoever won the World Series, it was just cool. Like I'd get when they started making the World Series patches.
Yeah.
And like I thought that's cool. And like I think that would be really fun if they brought that into the pop line. Like there's so many different ideas I have in my head that I feel like Funko should be thinking of for sports that they could be making like these pops of. Like they should be a pop of someone holding the Stanley Cup. Like,
Yeah, I
why
think
not?
moments and things like that are definitely something. I think at some point we talked about like
Sports moments.
something that should be made in sports moments or something. Yeah, and I think that's definitely one that could be. I the only thing is that I think is a cool thing that they do is I want to say it's only really with the NFL football line so far is that they do have different mold versions. So like for instance, I have two of these here. So like Matt Ryan, he's wearing a hat, right? So he's wearing a cap, but then you have like Tom Brady where he's wearing a beanie because it's usually cold and whatever. So he has like the winter like style hat. But then you have like a normal version like Julio Jones, he's wearing this. But then there's also the ones with the helmets. So, and those actually come off,
which they evolved, I feel like over time. And now though, I feel like they've gotten to a point where like, I know what you're saying, because that was really cool, especially like I remember the NFL helmets ones because I was like, they never made a Jets player like that. But like I feel like that was before they knew what they were doing with the lines. And now that they have like more action poses, I feel like we're not going to see things change up like that anymore. I could be wrong, but
yeah. Well, the helmet one was on like some of the OG ones, and now some of the new ones have helmets.
But they don't come off, right?
Oh yeah, so that's the thing. Maybe they don't come off. Maybe that's what it is.
Which I thought was super cool.
But now, like even with the baseball ones and some of those, they have patches of turf. So like, or a mound, like the pitcher is throwing off the mound.
Yeah, which is funny. I never really noticed that because it was in like the box. But yeah,
but
they are more detailed than I agree.
I say it's totally like I think that's why I'm saying like this line could be so awesome, and I think it is. I think there are hardcore sports fans out there. There's not just us, obviously, so there probably are. I just feel like there's more sports fans than they're getting to come over to Funko and collecting. That's the miss. That's what I think they're missing. But like, I just wanted to touch on this because I did want to talk about like what's potentially missing. And obviously we talked about Jared Jeter. That was my number one pop that I wish. Who would be yours?
I'd want a Mike Piazza one.
Okay. So and those seem so obvious, right? So so I'm sure you guys have obvious ones out there as well. But yeah, Mike Piazza, Derek Jeter, obviously for multiple reasons because of our teams. But yeah, those are ones that I think totally should be made. A line though, I think it should be made. It's a little bit more obscure because I'm sure worldwide it does have a fandom. I'm a huge fan of it, but maybe not as many fans are there. But I think they need to make F1 pops. They do NASCAR. They do NASCAR ones already, so it makes sense. But I'm like a really, really big F1 fan, and like someone like Lewis Hamilton, who is enormous and worldwide, I think would be amazing in a pop form. They do make a Mario Andretti pop, but it's under the Sports Legends. And it's the only one, technically, I guess you could say, because he did do F1 racing for a little while. But like a Michael Schumacher could be someone who's legendary.
It seems like they're throwing athletes under that line that they don't think they can make a full line of, which is interesting because I know they make tennis players and the line is just tennis. Like it's a weird like box.
Yeah, it looks weird too. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's funny that you said that because Ali came out as a sports legend, which he is a legend.
Yeah,
but he came out as a sports legend, and then just recently, I didn't even write down a date because I think it was last year. They finally released a boxing line. Mike Tyson's on it. Julio Cesar Chavez is on it. So like Oscar De La Hoya, those are the first boxing pops because Ali's not a boxing. He was considered a legend.
Yeah.
So it is like you said. Yeah, they threw him in there because they probably were like, we're not going to make too many other boxers. But in reality, they should make more boxes. They should make more UFC fighters.
Yeah.
Like I have some of the UFC ones, and there's some pretty cool ones. I even have one signed, Daniel Cormier, because if you guys don't know, I work for the UFC as like a side job, and I was able to get Daniel Cormier DC to sign one of my pops. So that's pretty sick. But there's a ton of UFC fighters, and I'm talking about like current that they can make, but then there's also legendary ones that they have made a couple. But
yeah, I mean, they should make more of those. I mean, because they clearly, they make cricket pops.
Yeah. Okay. So so you know what? They only make one, and he's under Sports Legends.
Okay. So there you go.
He's not even under the cricket line. So, and it's this guy. I wrote it down because like Virat Kohli. I don't know him. I don't watch cricket. I mean, I know cricket. He's Indian, so he's
Yep.
from
It's a
India,
pretty cool pop.
and it's a cool pop. I know that cricket is huge, you know, in India, Australia, and like some of these other countries. So like they could totally make those. They can make rugby pops for, you know, Funko's big in Australia. Pop culture is like a huge
Yeah.
site that sells Funko products. They could totally do rugby, you know, pops and stuff. So there's definitely stuff that's missing. I think even with like NASCAR, F1, for instance, they could make rides, put the pop in the car. Like, dude,
That
that is
would be
sick.
sick.
That'd be so sick. Like, make an F1 car, which is funny because their head sticks out anyways, and then you make the actual figure in there. Like, that would be so sick. And like,
Like
I
they're
feel
really
like,
missing the boat on that, especially like, I mean, I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I mean, your car is your look when you are like, I mean, those
Mhm.
would be sweet pops. And
Yeah,
really enough, I mean, that's one of the most, I think that may be the most popular sport in America.
in America, yeah,
Well, I'm just saying, but I
it
know,
is. It
but
probably is. Yeah,
like, it's just, we're just as where the most popular sport in the world is football, aka soccer,
soccer. Yeah,
and they're not even like making enough of that
barely.
line. Like it's
It
interesting
is. It is miss. It's a miss on their side because there's totally.
because they
And
don't
then
even
like,
make MLS, which I know is, I mean, most people
no,
prefer
yeah,
watching EPL, but
of
it's like,
course.
come on, like I feel like they should make that too.
But at this point, yes, you should already have been doing that, and you should be getting
It's
like
only
the
becoming more
highest
and more
paid athletes in
popular.
the world are soccer players for the most
Yes.
part. So like, get those guys and get a Ronaldo and a Messi pop. Like they need to be made. Like those are
Yeah, I'd buy
probably the
those
two
immediately.
biggest. Absolutely, and you don't even have to be a soccer fan or a fan of that. You just they're legends.
I
They're
mean, you can make a
easily
Ronaldo
legends.
3-pack now already. Like, and he doesn't
Yeah, I
even
know it's
have
different team.
one. Like, it's
Yeah,
just like, I don't know.
which is funny because I did want to bring up the fact that the Wayne Gretzky 4-pack I think is a sick idea.
It is. Yeah, that was
Like
a sick pop.
having multiple teams and putting, and I think he's the only one that they've done that with. So like they could totally do that with a few players, not everyone. You know, some people stay on the one team, but if they do that with multiple packs or make it two, they love Tom Brady. They made Patriots and Bucks make a
They
two
should
pack.
do that. That's where, like, I think that's a cool 2-pack. Or yeah, I think they should do more of that.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I think is missing. And then the biggest thing I think that is missing is sodas. Where are the sports sodas?
100%. That's where I think you'd get a better, like for me, like I would now start if they came out with sports sodas, I'd get them all.
Yeah,
Or like I'd try to.
regardless.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because like, why not?
Because I think at that point you're starting from zero, so you can pick and choose, but you can get the big names,
Yeah.
and whether they're older or even new, like you can get. And even if they want to start off with a LeBron James, for instance, right? Like he kind of crosses from older to new, but like he's a big name, right? All right, do him, and then do more, and like they could totally. But there has to be a reason why they have it, and I wonder if it's because of like I feel like it's going to be such a plain looking mold if they do it though. You know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
that's
Like
why
they're probably not going to put a ball in their hand. They're probably not, you know,
they
gonna have a
all look
hockey
the
stick if they're
same.
hockey.
Like,
So like maybe that's why. But I also think, and I did want to touch on this, is that that's why they started making Funko Gold. So Funko
yes.
Gold is essentially their action figure line pretty much, and NFL and NBA has currently some in there, and I think they look a little ridiculous, but they should have put all their thought and everything into making them into sodas because those are a lot more popular. But
Speaking of
yeah,
the
that's
gold,
just
though, do
my
you
opinion on that.
know? Because I don't want to misspeak. Uh, is there multiple players on the same team that they've made in the gold line? Like, for example, like, is
Like
there
multiple versions of it.
no, like, let's just say
Oh, on the same two players
same
on one team.
team? Yeah.
No, I'm not. So I know they have. So they have LeBron on the Lakers. They have a Kawhi Leonard, but he's on the Clippers. They have Steph Curry.
Like, do they make a Kevin
Uh,
Durant one? I know they make a James Harden one.
they make James Harden, but James Harden's on the Nets. Yeah, Kevin Durant. I don't think they do.
Okay.
I don't
I'm
think
just
so.
thinking because
They
there
make pops. They
they
make
did not,
pops of them.
yes. The reason I bring that up, they did not do a good job, in my opinion, of representation in the gold line. But I don't know if that's just because they want to make sure people even like that line, which is probably why.
It was it was very like a very weird line and like who they dropped. Yeah, like some of them kind of like Steph Curry, obviously he's very popular. LeBron James, of course. Like those made sense, but I feel like overall it was a little weird. Like who were they going to drop and who they didn't? They dropped Luka Doncic,
Yep.
who I know is very popular now. So like I don't know, it was a little weird. And then with the football, like okay, they did drop Brady, Russell, Patrick Mahomes. They pretty much dropped quarterbacks, I think, only on the football side.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Um, and it was just like I don't know, it was just like it's a weird drop. I don't know what to
I
do
think that
with it.
line's gonna be
It
dead.
won't be around
It
forever.
seems
Yeah,
like it's sitting. Like I see so many people, whether they're making, toy hunts or posting pictures when they go to stores, like they are just sitting on the shelves, chases included.
yeah,
Like people are finding like chases, just like LeBron James chases, for example. You would think people would want that, and the fact that no one's getting it, it's
yeah.
yeah.
The chases, yeah, it's what's weird. I don't know. I think they're missing the ball on a lot of things. I think this could totally be a even bigger line. I mean, another thing, even just collector wise, is like to me, I feel like getting an autograph from a lot of people is pretty cool, but I feel like getting an autograph from an athlete will always kind of give you a different feeling, right?
Yep.
Like if you got an autograph from your favorite sports athlete, like that's like an actor is cool, but like I don't know, to me, am I wrong? Like I feel
No,
like
yeah. I mean, I used to
getting an
like,
athlete is
I
usually like the
would
biggest.
like, yeah, I have tons of baseball signs. I have some footballs. Like, yeah, it's just,
Yeah,
it's, yeah, it's funny because as a collector now, like to me, it'd be pretty cool to, like, it's like if I was to be able to get them to sign a pop, they may be,
yeah,
look, I'm sure the bigger players will know what they are, but it's like looking at you, oh, you rather me sign this Funko Pop than a
yeah,
baseball,
yeah.
but still, like, I mean, to me, yeah, it'd be
That's so
pretty
true.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the one thing, and I mentioned it earlier, that I think would be really cool, I think Funko should really do, is make actual tangible baseball cards. I'm just using baseball because it's my favorite sport, and make the Funko players in the cards. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing.
yeah.
Get them into trading cards and to get people in the sports. And like I'm going back to my beginning, like that's where it's like cool. Okay, I'm getting players from all these teams, and I think they need to get into that. And they may be, they may be getting into
Yeah, we talked
basketball.
about this.
We
Yeah, we
did. And
talked
I
about
like
how
tried
there's
to search
potential.
for it after, but it's kind of vague how the movie posters are. Like, what
Yeah,
are they actually doing? Are they making
yeah.
cards? Are they making Funko Pops that look like cards? Like, I think they should get into that.
It was definitely like something that was supposedly going to be a collab or something that was going to happen. I don't know if it actually
I
ended up
think they
happening or
signed
not,
with an
but
obscure, like, not Tops, but like
was it Prism or
it
something?
was
Or
Prism.
per
It
something
starts
with
with
a
a P.
P. It is with a P. Oh my god, what's it called? Panini.
That's it.
It's Panini. So, and that was a while ago, but we don't
Long
know
time
what
ago.
actually happened with that. Now, Panini obviously is a card, trading cards, and they make those cards. But I completely agree with you. Like, they want to do all these different things. Do that. Cards still exist. They're still a big
I
deal.
would be all over that.
But
Like,
like you said, make it a physical card of a player, but the pop version of them. Don't make a pop of it. Just make the Funko version in this card. I think that would be sick. I think that would totally be a whole nother way of collecting things. It would be cool if you got them with a pop or just in packs or whatever. Like, like you said, I think that totally could be something that obviously now everyone's probably going to be like, oh, well, they should make NFTs because that's like kind of like the new thing. I would rather them have a physical card, in my opinion, because even with the NFTs, like you already know, like I'm more about like if I can get the redeemable and having the physical pop more than the
yeah,
NFT.
and like
So like
I still think they can make the, because it's just funny.
they could
Funko
technically
to
do both.
for someone who's in, like, I have some NFTs that aren't Funko, just Funko NFTs. Like Funko decided to go the route where they look like trading cards. Like that's not just what like NFTs are. So
Yeah, I
I
get what you're
don't,
saying.
and like you said, especially during the pandemic, trading cards have only gotten more and more popular. Like I know Pokemon never went away, but the its popularity exploded, and it finally became like, I've been, into nerdy things my whole life, but there are people now who you would never in a million years think are
Yep.
collecting Pokemon cards, who are like hardcore, like Logan Paul, for example.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that is exploded. So there's a market for trading cards that are actual, still the physicals. And
Uh-huh.
I mean, I can go on about it all day. Like, I'm shocked Funko hasn't done that yet. And maybe
Yeah. And
It's
it could
coming.
be in the works. Yeah, it could be something because, like we said, we saw that Panini thing. So, like, it could be. I remember that happening, and then the NFT thing kind of happening right after, and I just felt like I kind of connected the two, but I don't
That's what
think
I
they are
did.
connected. I
I
think it is
connected the two.
something. Yeah, I think it is something separate. And if that's the case, like we're still waiting to hear. So we'll have to look up. I'll have to look up again to see if we find
I
some
just feel
more
like that would be
specific news on
so
it.
easy to make.
Of
Like
course.
that they like why haven't they come out with them yet if they announced that partnership like 2 years ago? I don't feel like
Yeah.
there's a production issue like there may be with like the actual pops. Yeah, I just think they're I don't want them now to come out too late. Funko collectors will still probably get them, but they're missing like the market like right now. Like I'm surprised they didn't jump on it. Like when Squid Games was so popular, they made a point to announce those pops
Yeah. Right
immediately. That
away.
was a strategic decision where they don't always do that. Like I don't know why they. Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
guess
don't
it's
want to keep
gonna
saying the
be.
same thing, but
Yeah, I think it's gonna end up coming down to like, are they gonna make it a sports card in Funko form, or are they just gonna make Funko Pops in cards? Like other, not just sports. And
yeah,
in my opinion, I think they should do the sports route. I think that would help get them sports fans in who are already used to just collecting cards, like you said, that they know they take up less room or whatever, and then maybe that can transition them into getting the pops because I think the sports pops are going to people who are already for Funko fans, maybe some people who just only like a specific player or a team,
yep.
or maybe those OG bobblehead collectors and like super memorabilia type collectors. Those probably are also transitioning over. But I think there's a gap. There's something that's definitely missing where they can get more sports fans because we know there are a ton of sports fans to get more pops. I mean, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree.
But yeah, that was a good one. That was fun.
Yeah, that was
I
fun.
know
That was one
we
of our
could
more fun
totally
episodes, I feel like.
yeah, we could totally keep going. I mean, I know if you guys can't tell, we're both obviously very passionate about sports in general, and then tying it together with another passion of ours with Funkos and collecting and stuff is kind of like it was a fun little thing. But I definitely with this episode, I want to make sure you guys are letting us know your thoughts. I know we had a ton of news and stuff that we talked about, but on the sports side of things, I know we have some people who watch that I know for sure are sports fans. And if I don't know that you are and you are a sports fan, let us know like what is a pop that maybe you think they should make that they haven't. Like I know mine was top one is Derek Jeter, Charlie's is Mike Piazza. So like who's one of your favorite sports athletes that there isn't a pop yet of, and like why do you think they should make it regardless of the sport? Or is there a sport out there that you think they should be making? Like I said before, I think they should be doing rugby. They should doing There's obviously room to make some
They
other
should be doing Olympians
international.
too. Like, where's a like there should be a Michael Phelps pop.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
they're missing out just on like so many
Yeah, Olympics coming
different.
up soon now.
Yeah,
They can
like
make Sean White. He's
exactly.
gonna
Like
be in his
I
last
mean,
Olympics.
he should have a pop regardless. Like I just feel
Yeah.
like he would want one of him
Yeah,
being
and
made.
he would look awesome as a pop because
Yes,
he has a look,
exactly.
like
Yes.
so. Yeah, so we could totally go on. There's so many people that are out there missing that way, and like I said, it could be. And Charlie said it too. There's probably reasons. There's probably licenses behind it. There's probably unions behind. There's a lot of stuff that obviously
Yeah.
we don't know. We're just two random dudes that happen to collect stuff, and we're just trying to tell you guys what we think. But in reality, we don't know. So if it's not, make these damn things because there's so
Yeah.
much stuff that's missing that we know we need. But I will still go to the grave saying that I think the Funko Sports Pops are some of the best and definitely the most underrated in the sense of that there's just too many people that are missing out on them. But let us know your thoughts if you guys collect them because you like sports or do you collect them because you like your team? Kind of like Charlie's a mix. I'm gonna try. I got Charlie into collecting sodas, and that happened like that. I'm gonna start getting him into collecting some more sports pops. You'll see. He's gonna have that back corner of his wall. So it's gonna be all random sports. No Mets and no Jets because clearly they're not good enough to make pops. I'm assuming that's why they don't make Jets ones.
Yeah, that's
But we're
why.
gonna just move on from then. And anything from you, Charlie?
No, just yeah, everyone just please continue to, like our videos, hit that bell button, make sure you're subscribing, tell all of your friends and family. Me and Megs really enjoy doing this, every week, and we want to keep doing that. And biggest thing is, like we said, I've said this last time, like we always have ideas of shows that we want to make, but I love when everyone's commenting what they loved about the episode, but also then say like what you would like to see us talk about, because it's not like we're set in stone. Like someone could drop in a comment in this video and next week that could be what we talk about. Like we just would
Yeah.
love to get ideas because there could be a great idea out there that we would love to talk about that we're just not thinking about. So please just keep sending us comments, and we really appreciate everything.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Someone actually did send us a comment that a couple videos ago. I remember he said like a couple. I think sports was one of them too. But
Sports was one of them.
Yeah, he said a couple other topics too. But yeah, we totally listen to you guys. We have our own that we kind of want to do, but we also kind of are like trying to look for fresh and new ideas. So definitely let us know, like Charlie said. But yeah, definitely like the video. Like he said, it'll help with the algorithm. We want to make sure that this is just kind of getting pushed out to as many people as possible. We have some pretty hardcore subscribers who are watching us, but it's not getting out to everybody. So just make sure that you're sending it out there, because we want to, just get some more people joining in and some new viewers, hopefully. But we do appreciate all of you guys who have been here, especially from the beginning. So
yes, thank you.
Yeah, that'll be it for episode 21. Thank you guys so much. And until next week, we'll see you guys later. Take it easy.
Bye, everyone.